Last week, I, 30 female, was invited to a supposedly fancy party by my longtime boyfriend, Mark, 32. We had been dating for 5 years, and while we had discussed marriage before, there were no immediate plans for a wedding. Excited about the event, I dressed in my best attire and arrived at the designated venue. As I entered the grand hall, I was completely shocked to see all of our family, friends, and acquaintances gathered, eagerly waiting. It turns out Mark had orchestrated an elaborate surprise wedding for us without my knowledge. Everyone erupted into applause as I stood there, shocked and overwhelmed. I just felt a mix of emotions. While I loved Mark and had dreamed of our future together, the idea of getting married without any prior discussion or consent felt like a breach of trust. So I pulled Mark aside and tried to express my concerns and reservations about the surprise wedding. I explained that I wanted a say in the planning process, to be a part of the decision-making, and to have the chance to prepare mentally and emotionally for such a significant milestone in our lives. However, Mark dismissed my concerns, saying that he thought it would be a romantic gesture and that I would be thrilled. At that moment, I faced a difficult choice to go along with the surprise wedding, put on a smile despite feeling unsettled, or stand up for my autonomy and voice my true feelings. I ultimately made the decision not to proceed with the surprise wedding, much to the disappointment and confusion of our guest. Now I find myself at odds with Mark, our families, and even some of our friends who believe I overreacted and spoiled a beautiful moment. However, I firmly believe a marriage should be a joint decision with open communication and shared expectations. Everyone's excuse for this is I've always talked about marrying Mark. And again, the problem isn't marrying him. The problem is not having any say in my wedding. Mark thought I'd appreciate it because I've always spoken about how stressful planning a wedding must be. Yes, I think it's stressful, but I'd still like to plan one. After this whole ordeal, everyone asked if Mark and I were ending things, to which I replied no. I emphasized to them and Mark that I still wanted to marry him, and most feel like this is making me more of an idiot since I just wasted a perfectly fine wedding. So, am I the idiot for refusing to attend my own surprise wedding, even though it was intended as a romantic gesture? Edit. I love surprises. It's a thing everyone has known me to love. Mark knew that I wanted to marry him and said wedding planning was stressful, thought a surprise wedding would be perfect. A surprise engagement is bland because it will always be a surprise, but not a wedding, LOL. He threw this wedding for the surprise, but explained how in a couple of days we could do a courthouse wedding to make it legal, and this was his only way to surprise me. I love spontaneity, but legal marriage or not, I wanted a say in my wedding. To choose the perfect date, to choose my bridesmaids, to pick out my cake. Again, due to these thoughts, everyone thinks I'm an idiot because I could have just gone along with the party and done a redo legal wedding. But again, I felt blindsided and confused, so I left. What the heck did I just read? A surprise wedding? A marriage is a partnership, not an ambush. If he marries you without having to ask, what else would he do with the same excuse? Surprise! I got the new car we talked about. Oh, you wanted to choose the model? Have the full experience? Surprise! I got us a house. We talked so much about a new house for us and the kids. We still have kids, right? Surprise! I called your boss and quit your job for you. Enjoy being a stay-at-home mom to my kids. I exaggerate, but you get where I'm going. Make sure you keep control over your own life. I think the house and car are less egregious than a surprise wedding. I think if he showed up with an adopted child and said surprise, he could one-up himself here. I mean, what we shouldn't be doing right now is giving Mark ideas. Honey, get the heck out of that relationship. You are not the idiot, 100%. I did go to a surprise wedding once. It was great, and she loved it. But you know, they had already been married for 15 years, and it was an anniversary party that she had to organize to celebrate their 15 years. No license required. But a first wedding? And OP, Unless you told your partner you want a surprise wedding, it's ludicrous to expect you to agree to get married on the spot. I'd also ask all my family and friends if they knew about this. Who told this man that this was a good idea? So I, 45 male, have a son, Callum, teen, with my ex-wife, Amanda. We had an amicable divorce when Callum was 2, and so far we've been co-parenting quite well. Now, I could say a lot of things about Amanda's parenting, but the long and short of it is that she and her new husband catered their parenting style to their 2 younger kids together, tween female and pre-tween male. Because of this, he's decreased his time at their house since he got the choice and now spends every other weekend there. Around a month ago, Amanda and her husband made a reading rule for the kids. The pre-tween has to read 30 minutes a day, the tween has to read for an hour, and Callum has to read for 2 hours. I have no idea why they did this. I think it's because the youngest is falling behind in his reading level, and they wanted to keep things fair between the kids. I think that this is ridiculous, as Callum is a very smart kid already, and he needs that time for homework and relaxing, since he doesn't have that much free time. Amanda told me she expected me to enforce the reading rule when Callum was at my house. I told her that I would not. She said it was unfair to Callum's half-siblings, that he could just leave for my house and not follow the rule, while they had to follow it no matter what. I told her, tough luck. It's my house and I make the rules, not her. Now Callum's thinking about not staying with her anymore due to the increasing strictness of her and her husband's rules. She told me that it was all my fault, that he didn't want to be around her anymore because I was so lax with the rules. I'm pretty sure I'm in the right here, but I thought it might be a good idea to get some perspective. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. So, how many hours a day are she and her husband reading? They should lead by example, and being full-grown adults, they should be reading for 4 hours per day. To keep it fair. Requiring your kid to read 2 hours a day, on top of required textbook reading and assigned English class reading, seems like a good way to inspire dislike for the hobby. This is ridiculous. 2 hours of reading on top of potentially hours of homework? Every day? She's damaging her relationship with him and pushing him away, and that's sad, but on her. I get reading is great for the younger minds. It's a skill they need to develop. But if the youngest starts falling behind in math, will Callum have to do 2 hours of math worksheets to make things fair between them? Fairness isn't bringing everyone down or holding everyone back to the lowest performer's level. Blanket restrictions for the sake of one child is laziness and favoritism. My wife and I have 2 children, a toddler and a young grammar school-age child. Our older child is on the autism spectrum. It goes without saying that this is a very stressful position, and neither of us gets very much of a break from this. My wife is a stay-at-home mom, and I have a full-time job. As happy as our children make us, it's not selfish for us to both desire breaks. We get them occasionally, but we made a deal to have 2 guaranteed breaks in a year, our birthdays and Mother and Father's Day. On those days, one parent takes the brunt of the burden so the other can get a day to relax. Since our youngest was about 2, we've practiced this. I've never failed to give my wife the day off she deserves. I'll schedule her a spa day or something she really wants to do and get her out of the house so she can relax while I'm on daddy duty. Then when she gets back, our kids give her gifts and cards, and we get a meal from her favorite place after they go to bed. My wife has been less consistent and doesn't really do as much as I do for her. The last year, she hasn't really done anything. I typically try not to hold it against her, as it is undoubtedly hard, but it does feel kind of unfair. I planned something for myself this Father's Day, as she didn't indicate doing something for me. I warned her a week in advance, and she said it was okay. This was until about 3 days ago. My wife's old boss's dad passed away. She was invited to the funeral by the boss, and she chose to attend the funeral, which was about 2 hours away. As a result, I had to cancel all of my plans and take care of the kids. She was supposed to be home at around 5 in the evening, but didn't arrive until about 10. The kids were already asleep, and my wife neglected to help them get even Father's Day cards for me. We got into a huge argument when she got back. I told her that I felt like she really dropped the ball on this and didn't give me a break like I usually do for her. She told me that she's home with the kids all day, just about every day, and I only have to help out after work. As far as she's concerned, I regularly get a break, and she doesn't. I told her work isn't a break and that I was really looking forward to it today. She said that someone died, and I was being completely selfish to make it about me. I said that it was someone she didn't even know, who was the parent of someone she hadn't seen in over a year. I didn't think I was being selfish and asking her to prioritize my needs just as a gesture as I do hers. She's been angry at me since, and we're not talking. Am I the idiot? Edit. She was not close to the father. From what I remember, she did have a good work relationship with her boss, but it's not like they were friends outside of work. You are the idiot. Nobody goes to a funeral for fun. Nobody would willingly choose a funeral to avoid Father's Day. It's a funeral. Everyone's focusing on the fact that it's her old boss's father, but clearly, she felt close enough to drive 4 hours to attend, which you felt was appropriate, and only got mad when she was late getting home. But you know what? It's a funeral, and she drove 2 hours to get there. It makes sense that she'd make the most of it. Funerals are special occasions that can't be rescheduled. I'm going against the grain here, not the idiot. Your wife could have easily gone to the funeral and come home at 5. Perhaps brought dinner, made baths in bed while you relaxed. She should have also helped the kids make and do something special for you. Old boss's dad? In my funeral book, that doesn't really justify leaving the family for an entire day, driving 4 hours and ignoring Father's Day. The funeral was just an excuse to get out of the house. You may have bigger issues than missing Father's Day. Tell your wife you would like a redo. Pick another Sunday for Father's Day. Maybe she'll actually help the kids do something fun for you. This is screaming to me that your wife wants adult time. You get to converse with your colleagues every day. She doesn't. She has you to socialize with. And is that it? Does she go out with friends without the kids? To me, she seemed to jump at the chance to socialize with people she knew and could have an adult conversation with. Seriously think about it and ask her if she's happy being a stay-at-home mom. She may miss working and the social aspect that comes with it. I think this is an everyone's the idiot here situation, but really, you both need to communicate better. My family and my brother's family visited my parents at their vacation house for Memorial Day weekend. I noticed that my normally energetic nephew, teen, seemed very upset about something. I pulled him aside and asked him if there was anything wrong. He told me that his parents promised to buy him the Lego Roman Colosseum. His nephew's a huge ancient history buff, if he did well in school. But when the package arrived, they said he should be a good brother and let his sister, tween, help. My nephew told them that having his sister help was pointless, since she's completely nonverbal and has a habit of kicking things when upset. As a result, my nephew had his Lego set returned for talking back and being disrespectful. After we went back home, I asked my brother if what my nephew said was true. He said that it was. I then asked if my nephew said anything, e.g. calling his sister a vegetable, beyond calling the idea of letting his sister help ridiculous. He said no. I told my husband that I was seriously considering buying my nephew the Lego Roman Colosseum for his upcoming birthday in August, as my brother and sister-in-law were completely ridiculous. My husband agreed that my brother and sister-in-law were being ridiculous, but didn't like the idea of me replacing the returned Lego set. He said I would undermine their parenting and provoke an unneeded conflicts between our families. As an aunt, this is what I would do. Buy it and put it in a closet. Give it to him in a few years when your nephew's older and living on his own. If he doesn't want it, you can resell it. If he does want it, it'll mean the world to him. In that future time, it may also open the door to a heart-to-heart conversation about not agreeing with his parents, but recognizing they were acting out of denial of a painful reality. Unfortunately, from what you've described, Your nephew will probably be estranged from his parents in the future. I've seen similar situations in a friend's family, and the denial of disability, ultimately damaged the family. But your husband is right. You are the idiot if you intervene now. The Lego won't change the reality of your nephew's situation. Sorry. I disagree. As an aunt, I would buy it and have it at my house for him. Invite him over for the weekend, just him, and have fun building it with him if he wants the help. I'm the aunt that has purchased extra gifts for my niece and nephew because my brother and sister-in-law decided to let Santa be the parent and use the naughty list to try and control their very young kids. My niece was upset when I asked her if she was excited for Santa to come to her house, and she said he wasn't coming because she was on the naughty list. So yeah, screw that crap. I bought them extra gifts that year, and Santa accidentally delivered them to my house where we were having Christmas. That's what I would do. Give the parents a break for the weekend and have them do it at your house. I absolutely hate when children can't have something for themselves. The worst part of it all, even worse than forcing him to share, is that they essentially went back on their word. The deal was, do well in school, get the Lego set. He accepted and delivered. They did not. Amending their agreement to include your sister or else was a jerk move, a bait and switch. The kid will learn that the parents' words and promises mean nothing. The kid may end up resenting the sister too. Originally, my family wasn't even invited to come, but my boyfriend thought he'd be nice and invited them. I wanted to go to my favorite Moroccan restaurant that does these amazing shared tagine dishes, and it was agreed upon. We decided to make reservations and go. The day my dad and youngest brother decided they didn't like the menu or it was too expensive for them to eat, there was a custom meal for them. I told my mom this was my birthday, and I looked forward to eating there for months, so they could bail if they wanted to. I'm going, and my boyfriend is going. My mom started complaining that we could pick something different for my birthday dinner. I said that's fine if they were willing to pay for my boyfriend, and I could still go to the Moroccan restaurant. My mom called me ungrateful for not accommodating my whole family on what was my birthday. I should have picked a normal restaurant, and this whole mess could have been avoided. I told my mom I didn't even want them there in the first place, but my boyfriend was being polite. My mom called me a selfish witch and refused to get me even a gift now. Am I the idiot for insisting on the food I want for my birthday? I should have picked a normal restaurant? There it is. I grew up in a family like this. I spent too many years of my life having Denny's for my birthday dinner to keep my grandparents happy. Now every year my husband and I get sushi, Indian, or Mediterranean. The spicier, the better. Not the idiot. Your family sucks. God forbid they suck it up for one meal to celebrate your birthday. Do you know what I do when I'm invited to a restaurant I don't like? I eat beforehand, then nibble on something inexpensive and drink water. I'm there for the people. That's what adults do. I'm sorry this is how things played out. How family can mess up even the best laid birthday plans is amazing. It's your birthday. Eat where you want. Your boyfriend was being nice to invite your family in the first place. He's a keeper. My mom called me a selfish witch and refused to even get me a gift now. And you think you're the idiot? She's just given you the greatest gift, the opportunity to not be a part of your life. And OP, if you're able to, I'd recommend taking it. Happy birthday. Enjoy. And next year, tell boyfriend, let's just do us. I have a big family that's incredibly close. We have big family dinners every few months, meeting at my great-grandfather's estate and eating together. Typically how this works is that the women go cook for the time they're there, and the men don't. I am fully aware it's misogynistic as crap. That being said, I'm one of the youngest people in the family, and my protests mean literally nothing. Some of these women choose not to cook. However, this is usually met with a level of ostracizing. The women who don't cook are wives and long-term girlfriends. so they kind of already have a good family relationship doctored in. When I've seen new partners not cook, it's gone badly. Like completely ostracized, not speaking, cattiness, rudeness, etc. This dinner will be in 2 weeks, and my girlfriend was asked if she would attend. Initially, she said yes, which is great. I want her to meet everyone and for everyone to get used to her being around. Still, she was understandably bothered when I explained the tradition to her. I told her that I understood where she was coming from. However, it was best for everyone if she just played along. I told her this wasn't a permanent thing, and I was only asking her to do this to avoid bad treatment from the rest of the family. This is her first impression, and it isn't best if we cause waves. She told me that it was unacceptable, and that if she had to do it, she wouldn't be going. I've tried to find a compromise with her on this, but she won't budge, and she's pissed at me. She told me that if I think it's acceptable to make her do this, I'm just as bad as everyone else. While my point is, she needs to make a good first impression. Am I the idiot? Why is my girlfriend mad that my family expects her to cook for them after inviting her to dinner as a guest? Why won't my girlfriend abandon her sense of self-respect to establish herself as a subservient woman tool so that my misogynistic family won't mentally and verbally abuse her? She just doesn't get it. Her protests are literally meaningless. You are the idiot. What about your family making a good first impression on her and not expecting her to be an unpaid cook and servant? My thought exactly. OP's so concerned about the impression his girlfriend will make on his family, but they've just immediately made a bad impression on her. Why on earth would she want anything to do with this family now? Also, this isn't going to be a first impression. This is going to be every time she sees his family. This is just setting the status quo. Why doesn't OP get in the kitchen and interrupt this archaic arrangement by helping himself? Oh, I know the answer. If they had real money, the help would be cooking dinner. The women wouldn't be caught dead in the kitchen. The women wouldn't know what to do. I have a similar story. I noticed on my mother's side, after a big family dinner, all the adult women would help the host, wife only, of course, clean. As a young adult or late teen, my mom decided to summon me to come help. I grabbed my twin brother and male cousin and brought them into the kitchen. My mother told me it was women's work, but they stayed and helped. Guess what? That crap stopped happening. I agree. Why doesn't he help? Because it's emasculating. OP, she's absolutely right. You're trying to make yourself sound better than your old-fashioned misogynistic family, but you're actually no different from them. I suspect it won't be an issue for long, though. Your girlfriend seems to have seen what you're really like. I'd be surprised if she isn't considering ending things. Last Saturday, my wife had her baby shower, which was a very long event from midday until 10 p.m. Prior to this, while we were planning the baby shower and sending out invites, I had initially intended to invite my entire family. However, my wife informed me that the baby shower would be female only, which confused me. I've attended baby showers for all my female relatives in my family, so it felt like this was a cultural difference. Unfortunately, this meant I had to embarrassingly uninvite people after sending out invitations. Initially, I didn't make a big deal out of it because it was my wife's special day. However, later on, she told me that the no men rule also extended to me. I thought she was joking, but she was serious, explaining that it's customary in her family to have a ladies-only baby shower. At this point, I became upset. In a baby shower that I was paying for and planning, I was excluded from my wife's event in my home? I found it absurd. The party lasted about 10 hours, and I was expected to leave my house for the entire duration. We argued back and forth about this issue. It seemed ridiculous to me that, as her husband, I was not allowed to attend my wife's baby shower. Her sister overheard our argument and supported my wife's stance, saying that men are typically not invited to baby showers and that my presence would ruin the atmosphere and the vibe. This disagreement occurred 3 weeks before the baby shower, and even the day before the event, I tried reasoning with my wife again to let me stay, but she still refused. She also told some of her family members about our argument because I got an angry text from her mother telling me to just listen to what she says, since the baby shower's for her, not me, and that she can decide who attends and who doesn't. I still refuse to leave since it's our home, and I'm literally paying for the event. I managed to compromise by just chilling in the backyard, where everyone else was inside. My wife still wasn't happy about it, though. Am I the idiot here? Why would anyone want to attend a 10-hour baby shower, let alone host it? What was happening at this event? 10 hours? And why are you hosting your own baby shower? It's a gift-giving event, which is why someone else is supposed to host it for you. Not the idiot. The fact that you want to be so involved should be cherished, not punished. His being in the backyard seems a lot less petty when you remember that the baby shower was 10 hours long. But I can't get past OP paying for the shower. I've never seen that before. In my experience, baby and bridal showers are given by close friends as part of the gift. Having the new mom and bride plan and paying for the shower is ridiculous. She's got enough going on already. I'm from Texas, so maybe it's a Southern thing. Everyone's the idiot. You both should work on communicating better with each other. Baby showers are traditionally female only, and co-ed baby showers are more of a recent thing, with some cultures adopting the practice more openly than others. Your wife shouldn't have assumed that you knew this tradition, though, and should have expressed her intentions while you guys were planning. You're not an idiot for feeling bad because you felt excluded, even when involved in the planning. However, you displayed idiot behavior when you made the event about you and how you paid for everything. After all, you're raising a family together. Teamwork and understanding are essential. My husband, 38, and I, 36 female, have been married for 10 years and have 3 kids, pre-tween, young grammar school, and toddler. Yesterday was Mother's Day, and my husband is notoriously bad at gift giving and that sort of thing. I have rather specific taste, so I have to coach him on what I want for birthdays, Christmas, anniversaries, etc. But yesterday, he actually did a pretty good job. He had the kids all make me handmade cards, made me breakfast in bed, took the kids out of the house for the afternoon so I could get a mani-pedi and relax, and got me a nice bottle of wine with some fancy cheese and chocolate. Last night, after the kids went to bed, I thanked him for a great day and expressed how surprised I was that he actually stepped up. He told me I deserved it, but he also said that he hoped I could do something similar for him for Father's Day this year. I asked him what that was supposed to mean, and he asked me if I remembered what I did for Father's Day last year, but I couldn't remember. He then reminded me that I did nothing for him for Father's Day last year. Then I remembered that I was at my sister's wedding for Father's Day last year. My younger sister had a small, out-of-state, child-free wedding last June, which happened to be on Father's Day weekend. I was the maid of honor, and since our kids couldn't come, my husband stayed home with them while I was gone from Thursday through Sunday. I had every intention of still doing something for him for Father's Day, but I must have forgotten completely, and he never brought it up to me. So I felt a little blindsided and put on the spot when he asked me to remember what I did. I told him that I was sorry I forgot to do anything for him last year, but that I didn't appreciate being put on a spot like that. I also don't appreciate the implication that I purposely forgot or did nothing for him on purpose. I had a lot of things going on at that time last year, and I fully admit that I spaced it out and completely forgot. That's my fault, and I accept it, but don't rub my face in it. I asked him why he didn't just bring it up to me, and he said it's not his responsibility to remind me. He said he didn't bring it up because he figured I'd get defensive about it and try to make excuses, exactly like I was doing. He then reminded me that I also forgot to get him anything for his birthday last year. I told him that I didn't forget. His gift was just delivered late. He then told me he had access to our Prime account too, and he saw that I ordered it on his birthday. I told him he was being a jerk and ruining what was, up until then, a perfectly good Mother's Day. He said he's not trying to be a jerk. He's just letting me know that he needs to feel that there's some sort of reciprocation for this kind of thing. Now I feel like he only stepped up so he could rub my face in it that I didn't do anything for him last year. You are the idiot. So your husband's a terrible gift giver, yet you did nothing for Father's Day and only half baked a last-minute gift for his birthday. Are you somehow trying to blame him because you did nothing for him on Father's Day and almost forgot his birthday? Girl, what the heck? Yes, you went to a wedding, but you couldn't manage to have the kids give him a card at least? He most likely did you a good Mother's Day because he didn't want you to feel how he did last year. Being out of town is no reason to not have a plan or something delivered. I reschedule holidays all the time. It's not that hard to say to the honoree, I have to be out of town on X date, but let's do something special for the holiday, the weekend before or after. They know you didn't forget. You still do something to celebrate them, and whatever needs to get taken care of gets taken care of. OP, you're getting defensive, and it's making you an idiot. You're the one who's repeatedly screwed up. It doesn't sound like he was trying to rub your face in anything, just that he was saying he was glad you appreciated the effort and that he'd appreciate a similar effort from you in the future. You're the one who couldn't even remember you'd done nothing for Father's Day. You only have one person to be angry at here. You. He's heard you ask for more autonomous effort and stepped up. Now he's asking you to do the same, which sounds entirely fair given how you've recently handled events. My boyfriend, 20, and I, female 20, rented an Airbnb lake house for this week, and we invited some friends. There are 8 of us on this trip. My boyfriend, Alex, Kate and her boyfriend, James, Alyssa, and her boyfriend, Thomas, and 2 of our single friends, Lauren and Simon. The lake house has 4 bedrooms. Bedroom number 1, 2, and 3 have king beds, and bedroom 4 has a bunk bed. We specifically got this Airbnb because it made sense that the couples would sleep on the king beds and the 2 singles would get the bunk bed. Everyone drove up to the Airbnb this morning. My boyfriend and I were the last ones that got there because we stopped to get everybody lunch. Everyone had picked their rooms and unloaded their bags by the time we got there. The last room left was the bunk room bed. I stepped into the living room where everyone was and asked why Lauren and Simon weren't sleeping in the bunk bedroom. Lauren said the king bed was more comfortable. Simon and I don't want to sleep on the bunk bed. I said that's not fair. The other couples all get a king bed. The bunk bed was specifically for you guys, so please just move your stuff. Lauren then said, no, we got here first, so we got dibs. I then said, either you guys move into the bunk bed room or you guys can leave. Alex and I are the ones that paid for the Airbnb, so at the end of the day, what we say goes. Lauren then got all mad, grabbed her stuff, and left. Simon got up and said it wasn't a problem, that he'd move into the bunk bed room. I got a text from Lauren just now, saying that I was being a witch over a literal bunk bed. All of our other friends are on our side about this. But I don't know. Am I the idiot? I didn't mean to upset Lauren, but she was so difficult. So am I the idiot for telling my friend to leave our Airbnb? Edit. The Airbnb was completely paid for by me and Alex. Everyone else was in charge of food, snacks, alcohol, and any activities we wanted to do. We didn't ask anyone to pay their share of the Airbnb. Not the idiot. Your friend Lauren is inconsiderate to a mind-boggling degree, even if everyone was paying an equal share. I think it would be a common courtesy to offer king-size beds to couples. I don't think that's a stretch. Calling dibs? What are we, 12 years old? To add, also, if someone is booked or arranged or coordinated something for a group, it really is just the considerate thing to do to offer a choice in sleeping arrangements. Lauren sounds entitled as heck, and in my opinion, I'd lose her as a friend real quick when the vacay's over because she just showed her true colors to you. You paid for the Airbnb, and while you were getting everyone lunch, she sniped a room from you, even after agreeing to take the bunked bed rooms. It's even worse when you'll consider that you paid for it. Of course you should get a regular room. Personally, I get annoyed by the assumption that I'll make do with sleeping in bunk beds, the couch, or even the floor, just because I'm single. Why shouldn't I get a nice room too? But the solution to that is speaking up ahead of time and coming to an agreement with the group, not trying to strong-arm things. Everyone's the idiot here. You all should have communicated better before booking about who would sleep where. You really shouldn't assume that people will be fine with getting a less nice room just because they aren't in a couple. For background, me and Leslie, dated in high school, but broke up because she lied to me about her feelings. It caused me to have trust issues years later, and I'm still working it out in therapy. My wife Holly lost her grandfather this week. I've never had a chance to meet him since he lived in a nursing home, but she was devastated. We flew down for the funeral this past weekend. While there, I was shocked to see my ex. The funeral was nowhere near our hometown, so I had no idea what she was doing there. I walked over there to confront her, and she said she worked at his nursing home and was very fond of him. I told her I didn't care, that this funeral was for family, and she needed to leave. Frankly, her being there in the first place was creepy. She told me she had no idea I would even be there, and she was invited to the funeral by the family, so she was staying. I told her if she didn't leave, I'd call the cops for harassment and stalking, since I told her years ago I never wanted to see her again. She made both my wife and me uncomfortable. Later she saw reason and left, and the rest of the funeral went ahead as planned. My wife was happy I made her leave, but now her family's mad, especially her aunt. Her aunt lived nearby, visited him most, and said that my ex was her dad's favorite nurse. I guess seeing her family mad has now made my wife question if I did the right thing, because now even she's saying we should have just let her stay. But I still think I did the right thing by kicking the psycho out. You are the idiot. You caused a scene at a funeral for a person you've never met because your high school ex was there? What a nightmare. Your wife is still with you after you publicly threw a tantrum over having to be in the same room as an ex from high school? It's not about you, moron. You had never met the deceased. She was invited to the funeral and had obviously cared for him. She wasn't there because of you, and you should be ashamed for making yourself the main character here and acting out of spite because of a high school ex. What sort of entitlement did you feel that you get to decide for the funeral guest of someone you've never met? How dare you? You should have left if you were uncomfortable, not her. Clearly, whatever type of therapy you're getting isn't working if the first thing you do when you see your ex at a funeral is to cause a scene, threaten to press false charges for stalking her, and kick her out of the funeral she was invited to. Of course, your wife is also the idiot for giddily going along with your adult tantrum, despite the wishes of the rest of her family and the wishes of her deceased grandfather. Both of you peaked in high school and haven't matured since.